Let's talk about depression. I believe depression is actually the most common illness/disability in Western developed countries. What is depression? A lot of people mistakenly think that depression is like a feeling of sadness and I feel depressed. Not necessarily. Depression isn't sadness. It's more emptiness, nihilism, like there's no meaning or purpose to your life. Why do we get depressed and why is it so common in the modern day? It's because we're living without purpose. You and I were young men. 100 years ago, we would have had a wife and children at this age. We had a rock solid purpose. We had our family and there was wars that we would be drafted off to. So our lives would have had a mission. We would have been focused on something. We don't really have that anymore. We don't have a mission. We don't have a clear purpose for our lives. And so we lack meaning. There's also another major issue which causes the symptoms of depression, which is overindulging in instant gratification. So I'm going to give you the bro science explanation for why I think depression is so common, especially amongst young, unproductive people. You need to learn two terms: instant gratification and delayed gratification. Instant gratification comes from the activities that we do that feel good right now, but they kind of make our life worse in the long run. So this is things like porn, video games, watching TV, eating junk food. All of those things feel good right now. They feel pleasurable. We want to do them right now. We're really motivated to do them right now. But we kind of know that it makes our life worse every time that we overindulge in those things and, we play video games for 6 hours. We kind of realize, I just wasted a bunch of time, which I should have been doing my work in. Or we eat the junk food and it tastes really nice on our lips for a few seconds, but then we just think, why did I eat that? I've just gained so many calories. So instant gratification activities feel good right now, but make your life worse in the long run. When we overindulge in instant gratification activities like porn, video games, junk food, like the majority of us are doing, our baseline happiness, enjoyment, and fulfillment of life goes down and down and down. We get a momentary high from these pleasurable activities, but the baseline that we come down to goes down every single time we overindulge. And so the majority of us are overindulging in porn and video games. And so our baseline happiness, our normal level of happiness and fulfillment, is very, very low to the point that we just feel empty, that we don't feel anything. This is usually where the argument comes in, where people ask, is depression curable? Is it not just genetics? And a lot of people who have depression really, really are certain that it's genetics and, they can't change it. It's just I've got depression. That's how I've got to live for the rest of my life. And in my opinion, that's a very self-destructive belief. I'm a big believer that you should believe the things that benefit you. And believing that, I can't change anything about this doesn't serve you in any beneficial way. Is there progress that you can make to improve your mental health? Yes. So it's actually beneficial for you to make sure that you haven't convinced yourself that depression and any other mental illness is something that you can't change, because you can always make some kind of progress. And just for an anecdotal experience, I've helped multiple people who were certain that their depression was totally genetic, unchangeable. It's not because they play video games all day. They were so certain that they were depressed for genetic reasons, that they were on antidepressants. And with just 2 weeks of following this plan, their lives changed and they set in motion to significantly improve their mental health. My best friend Sam, he's the YouTuber named Harbinator. He was the first video editor that I got for my channel. He was certain that he had clinical depression. He was on antidepressants. He's not anymore. He's the happiest, most healthy, most productive he's ever been in his life, because we have to change his beliefs and tell him why are you belittling your own self? And why don't you just see what would happen if you just start to believe that you can make some progress here? And that's exactly what happened. It's hard to convince someone who's so stuck in their ways, thinking nope, I can't change it because it's, the doctor said it's genetic. But whilst we're talking about all this, depression seems like the enemy that we want to fight against. It's a bad thing that's happening to us. I don't think so. I think it would actually serve us to be grateful for our depression. We can view depression actually as our ally. Depression is these emotions, which is kind of like a thermostat telling us that something is wrong with our lives, that we're living without meaning, that we're overindulging in bad habits. That's actually very beneficial when you think about it. Your body is literally giving you an unpleasant feeling of emptiness and purposelessness. You're getting that feeling on purpose to hopefully direct you into the right course of action. We should be grateful for depression, because if we didn't have this feeling that was showing us that we were on the wrong track of life, you wouldn't be watching this video today. You wouldn't have ever really cared about improving your mental health. And so how do you cure depression? First off, you need to stop doing the things that are causing you to feel that way, which is those instant gratification activities. And this is like a hard to swallow pill for a lot of people because they really don't want to admit they're so certain that, video games and lack of sunlight and lack of water and lack of proper nutrition are causing them to feel negative and empty and nihilistic, but it probably is the case. We need to stop doing those bad habits and we need to start doing the good mental health practices that you're going to learn in this guide. Now, there's a very interesting concept of depression that we can talk about here, which is that having depression actually makes it hard, if not impossible, to do the things that would ease depression. So when you have depression, it almost feels like you have an inability to be productive and to do the right things that would ease depression. It's almost like a catch-22. It's like a very deadly cycle. And so I want to reframe your mind here to empower you to be able to make some changes in your life. Don't think about it as depression stopping you from being able to do like the good habits and, forcing you to stay on the bad habits. And simply just look at all this as it is habits. If we can nail just the habits without this extra belief like, oh yeah, well, I'm handicapped because I have this issue. And we simply just say, okay, you're struggling with the habit of exercise. Well, there's 100 things I could teach you about that. You're struggling with the habit of diet. Well, there's 100 things I could teach you about that. If we simply change your habits, you will feel better and your score in that mental health assessment will go down.